going to turn this down. All right. And we are live. Blessings, people. Come on in.
Blessings.
Grace and peace. Grace and peace. Y'all speak to us as you come in. Let's share that. So, guys, come in and speak and share as we prepare to get started. We want to give you guys an opportunity to come in. Great evening. Great evening. Great evening. They're speaking to us. They're saying, great evening, guys.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Like and share. Walker. Like and share.
Yeah, like and share, man. PJ Walker. Yo, what's up, man? Good to be a part. We're glad to have you. We're glad to have you. All right. I want to see here. All right. Can y'all hear everybody clearly? Do me a favor. Share this with somebody. Let them know we're getting ready to have a good time and we're getting ready to impact some brothers. So all get your uncles, your cousins, your grandfather, your baby daddy, get your brothers, get everybody in here and tell them we're about to have some conversation with the brothers, for the brothers, about the brothers. We're getting ready to empower some people today. So I want you all to share this. I'm going to give you about 60 more seconds to share this. And we want to get started because we have some powerful men who are preparing to empower us and give us some knowledge. We're going to talk about some things that maybe you didn't get an opportunity to talk about. So it's the first one tonight. As you guys are coming in, we want to welcome you to our Black Men Empowered Red Tape Roundtable conversation. If you don't know anything about us, Black Men Empowered is a network of men who we're geared towards empowering other Black men and men of all other colors. But we're placing an emphasis on our Black brothers, and we want to make sure that we are doing our part to empower them. And so we have 3 of the brothers here that are on, and hopefully we have one more that will join. No, we're welcoming our sisters. Y'all can come in. Y'all can listen. We want to say God bless you. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. You can join in the conversation. You may have brothers, sons, nephews, fathers, husbands, whoever you have. We want you to get them and join and share this broadcast with them because we're getting ready to have some good conversation. All right. So as we get started, before we move into our introductions, I want to give a good shout out to Dr. Jacqueline King, who is the president and CEO of Black Women Empowered and Black Men Empowered. I am Bishop Daniel Smart, director of Black Men Empowered in Atlanta. And I'm so excited to have my brothers on with me. And we want to just give a good God bless you to Dr. King and to all of our brothers and sisters that share on this great network. We want to say God bless you to all of you. To every viewer, we want to thank you. And if you're not following us, I want you to go ahead and follow Black Men Empowered because there's some great things that are coming from Black Men Empowered. All right, really quick. I want to get into our discussion. And our panel tonight is a group of men of God who are who really need no introduction. They hold much weight in the kingdom. And so I want you all to just get ready. And we're going to, let's start at the top of my screen. We're going to go all the way around. All right. So I want to give Dr. John Pace the floor. Tell us who you are, Dr. Pace.
I am John Pace. That's it. I'm excited to be a part of this incredible platform, and I'm excited to share and contribute to the dialogue today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Pace. We're glad to have you with us tonight. Dr. Jonathan Lotston, let's tell the people who you are.
Certainly. Well, as you stated, I'm Dr. Jonathan Lotson, and I love the Lord. And so I'm excited to join everyone. And I know we're going to have a great discussion. And so, as Bishop Smart already stated, like and share, because what you hear today is going to be a blessing to you. But we don't want to be selfish. We want to let everybody else know and tune on them. So I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Glad to have you. Pastor Josh, let us know who you are, man.
I am in the spirit of Dr. Pace. I'm Joshua Bingham. I'm glad to be here. I am excited to share not only what God has given me to share, but to also glean from all of the esteemed gentlemen that is here. I think it's going to be a blessing tonight. I think we're going to help a lot of people.
Absolutely. And Pastor Terrain was coming in. We lost him, but hopefully we'll get him. We have another gentleman who's on our Black Men Empowered forum, and he shares as well, Pastor Court Terrain, and hopefully we can have him come in. But we're glad to have you all tonight. I'm, again, Bishop Daniel Smart, Director of Black Men Empowered, and I'm so excited to bring this forum to you, bring this floor, this opportunity, this space where we can actually have some real discussion around men in general, but specifically our Black men. We want to be a blessing to them. We've seen a lot of trauma in our lifetime, and so we definitely want to get into this discussion. So some people are wondering why we call this red tape roundtable. The whole idea of the red tape roundtable is to literally cut red tape that usually prevents some of our brothers from having access to this kind of information, these kinds of conversations that literally change lives. Okay, so that's what we're aiming to do. We're aiming to give you access to information, revelation, and provoke you into a place of participation. All right. So, without any further ado, I want to get started. Talking about these topics and the things that we have. So, overall, this week we're going to be here every night from 6 to 6:30, and we're going to be talking about something each night. And tonight, we're starting out dealing with managing pressure. We're dealing with managing pressure and defeating self-defeating patterns. Okay, managing pressure and defeating self-defeating patterns. So, my brothers that are on tonight, we started to talk about this conversation, and in beginning this conversation with managing pressure, we asked the question: where do we need to start with managing pressure? And you guys, you can just kind of jump in wherever you want. I guess the first question is, what do we start with in managing pressure and defeating self-defeating patterns? And I want to say, I think the first thing, in my opinion, that we should deal with is identifying
Yeah.
self-defeating patterns. So where do we go? How do we identify these patterns, and what are they? And let's talk about it.
Amen. Anybody go first?
Yeah, anybody? Come on.
Okay. I think one of the things that spoke to me as I kind of pondered and meditated on this on this topic of pressure in the context of men that we're dealing with, and I think that it's crucial to note that there are a lot of great habits and great patterns that men have, as
Sure.
as men that can uh, generally stronger, bear burdens, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that, identifying some of these patterns, and I just wanted to just throw some things that I think is noteworthy that I think we can get some articulation to when you start to talk about our patterns as men. There are things that as men, and these numbers are actually get highly critical when you start to put in the context of Black men, right? So one of the things that when you start dealing about men is that we are, we are multiple times more susceptible to catch cancer. We are, I think, 3 times more likely to be alcoholics. We are, I mean, when I started to look at the statistics, it gets really, really, it gets really, really daunting when you start to look at some of the patterns that that we have. I mean, even to the point of gambling addictions, we are, we're more likely to have addictions. Our life expectancy is shorter. We have more addicting patterns than women, and I think many times it's tied to our ability and our willingness. Number one, as men, and I know all of us can speak to this, that we when we make our mind up about something, we go full force. There is, there's oftentimes little to on the pendulum of I'm halfway in. When a man is really invested, he's really invested. So some of these patterns that I think that we can kind of articulate and give voice to is, some of the addictive patterns that men have. Some of the problems that we have driving while drunk, some of the medical problems that we have, getting cancer, I mean, even into boys getting kicked out of school, even the suicide rates are higher in men. So I think, that's, giving a way to giving some type of spotlight to kind of identify some of the things that are in the nature of men, statistically wise, that kind of bear witness. And also, just put it in context, this is just from a general aspect, right? This is not even diving into the nuances of Black men.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I want to add something. I want to just define this word pressure.
Yeah.
Because in the definition alone, it brings us to a stabilizing point where we understand what pressure is, and then it'll help our dialogue. I've got 2 definitions: the noun, 2 sides of the noun. One is continuous physical force exerted on or against an object by something in contact with it. Here's the second definition: the use of persuasion, influence, or intimidation to make someone do something.
Wow.
So when we talk about pressure in the context of our conversation tonight, defeating self-defeating patterns and habits, I guess the first thing that every man and person should realize is that pressure is common. It's not an anomaly. If you are experiencing pressure, it is not strange. Everybody experiences pressure. So I think one way that we can help bring some thoughts to the dialogue is that there are a lot of men now that are under pressure in various different parts of their life, and it creates those self-defeating habits. So it is pressure could be the origin of their action. Like they would never have responded this way and created a pattern if there had not been pressure in their finances, if there had not been pressure in their relationship, if there had not been pressure in their professional life or career. So the idea is that when we're talking about pressure and the effects it can have, I think the effects of pressure can be managed better when we realize, first of all, that it's common. Being under pressure is common. It's not an uncommon thing. So somebody may be watching tonight saying, man, I thought I was the only person that dealt with pressure. Oh, no, you're not. You're not the only person. Everybody, over the years, even in my own life, I have learned to manage and cope with pressure in various different ways. But to put someone at ease tonight, and then I'll pass it on to somebody, I think one of the greatest things to realize is that you're not alone. Pressure is not an anomaly. Everybody has and will continue to experience some level of pressure in their life. Let me define it one more time, and then I'll pass it on to Dr. Lawson or to Rain or whoever wants to key in. The two definitions I have, it's the noun portion. It is continuous, pay very close attention, continuous physical force
Yes.
exerted on or against an object by something in contact with it, and the use of persuasion, influence, or intimidation that makes someone do something.
That's good.
Wow. Dr. Lotson, what you say?
Yeah, that was very good. One thing I want to also add to this is that not only do we have to realize that pressure is common, but we have to also realize that pressure isn't all negative. And so when we instantly hear the word pressure, it almost gives a negative, it has a negative connotation, meaning we're always instantly thinking about the negative side of the pressure. However, truth be told, if it wasn't pressure, we wouldn't have moved. We wouldn't have done different things. If it wasn't for the pressure, we wouldn't have made the necessary steps to better our lives, better our families. And so one thing I want to add when it comes down to managing pressure is that we have to really take some time to know ourselves. Sometimes as men, we're so busy just doing, or going, providing, that we don't take a step back to do some reflection and analysis of our lives. And that's so important because we all have breaking points. We all have limits because we're human beings. And so because we're human beings, that means we have limits. And so we have to know where our limits are and be able to use that as a gauge to identify if this pressure, if it's catapulting me to where I need to be, or if this pressure is actually hindering me and being a distraction to me or what have you. And then with the self-defeating patterns, we have to also be very mindful of our language. As Dr. Pace said, certain things wouldn't have happened unless it was that pressure. And so if it wasn't that pressure, I wouldn't have done this or that. And so we have to be very mindful that when we deal with pressure, when pressure comes in our lives, that we have to think about our language and be very mindful of the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves and about our situations. And so as we're careful about that, we can know that, as Dr. Pace said, that pressure is normal, and we'll be able to gauge if this pressure is positive or negative. And then we have to learn from it, because I like to say that it's not fail or win. It is win or learn. And so if we get to a place in which we don't say we failure, because that's what drives us. As Bingham has stated, sometimes when we feel like we're failures, oh, I couldn't do it, and we lead to drinking, oh, I couldn't do this, and we lead to it. No, we have to say, nah, I learned from this. It didn't go as I planned. It was the pressure on me, but I know the next time this comes around, I'm gonna do something different.
That's good.
I love it. I love it. Pastor Terrain has joined us, Pastor Corey Terrain, who also shares on Black Women Empowered and Black Men Empowered. And so, Pastor, can you weigh in on this? Have you?
Yes. In fact, I'm experiencing that right now. I'm learning. Thank you so much. I use this Mac iPad, what you call this thing, laptop, my wife's laptop. And I'm learning to be patient because she knows her stuff. So I wasn't going to upset her. I have a different laptop. And so she was showing me how to get on with this. So I'm definitely enjoying you with the pressure and calming down and allowing the process to do what it does. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And definitely I enjoyed what I heard thus far. But I do agree that we have to take it back a notch and not take everything. There's 3 steps in decision making that I had wrote down. The first step in dealing with problems and frustration is to have a decision plan or strategy. And the first step in decision making is coming to a conclusion that a decision has to be made. That's the first step. The second step is having the courage to actually make the decision. And then the third one, I think I heard you alluding to that, was to be man enough to stand behind the decision that we made. Mm-hmm. And so I think once you go through that process and you say, okay, this is not working. I planned it. It didn't go well. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. I go back, I reevaluate, I re-strategize, and I'm better the next time because I made the decision. It's my fault if something goes wrong, because as a leader, whether it's right or wrong, it reflects back on the leader. So at that moment, I can't just blow up. I can use it, for example, getting onto this particular StreamYard. And Kathy was helping me to get on. And part of my first, oh my God, I gotta get on. It's 6 o'clock. And I said, no, Corey, don't do that, because this is only for 30 minutes. Right? You got to live with her when this broadcast is over.
Wisdom.
Right. And I said to myself, if I don't get on tonight, there will always be tomorrow night
Yes,
or
sir.
the next night. But I'm not gonna mess up 25 years over a 30-minute broadcast.
Yes,
You're
sir.
saying something, though. You're saying something.
Right. She just, and she kept working with, okay, I tell you what, let's go out, let's try this. And it was hers, it's her Mac. I'm a Mac guy. I definitely do the other one. And so
we're gonna pray for you. We're gonna pray for
Please pray. We need to pray. We need to pray.
And so my wife said, let me show her how to do this. She kept working with it. And eventually we got on, we could see you guys, and you all couldn't see or hear me. But eventually I'm here. And so we're good. We're good, and she's happy, I'm good. And so when this is over, I'm gonna still be married.
Happily married.
Happily, right. And nobody's stressed out. So I take that as an example that with life, especially as men, is with pressure, you're paying bills, you're raising children, you're doing what you have to do. Everything is not a crisis. Yeah, everything is not a crisis. And so we can't go to crisis mode every time something goes wrong. You know, it's not a crisis. It could be a learning, like you said, learning curve. But you know what? This is not right. I don't about worry Bishop to death. I've apologized to him several times. He's so late. Corey, you're not worrying me. You're not bothering me. I'll be like, I know I am.
Wow.
But being nice about it, your attitude and taking that initiative. So you know what? Maybe this is a learning curve for me for the next day. I'll be better tomorrow than I was today.
Wow. Okay, so we got to get into our questions. I have a question here, but does anybody want to add anything? I believe we got some grace tonight, fellas. We can run a little bit longer if need be. But did anybody else want to add anything else to this? I think this is wonderful dialogue and great opening.
Pastor, who helped you get on tonight on the Mac?
My wife.
One thing I think we have to keep in mind when we're dealing with pressure, we gotta get help from somebody. It doesn't matter if it's your wife, it's your father, your mother, your whoever. You have to be willing to get help from somebody else. And so that's one thing. It just stood out at me while you were talking, because sometimes men, in particular, Black men, Jonathan, me myself, sometimes don't want to accept any help from anybody.
Yes, sir.
We're not going to be honest tonight, Saints. Okay.
Come on,
I'm lifting my hand.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, let me say this, Dr. Lawson. You're absolutely right. You just stepped on my toes right there, because being where I came from and how I was raised, I'm a musician. I'm a singer. I'm a preacher. I'm a pastor. I'm a bishop. I can go on and name all these things, right? Yeah. And so I've come to a place. I've experienced the pressure of having to be everything for everyone, or having to, y'all know, you grew up in the old school church from like way back. You learn how to do everything. In the old school Pentecostal church, you learn how to usher, lift the offering, be the choir, be the musician, be the preacher, and do the altar call, and catch everybody at the same time. And so, if you are not careful, you'll find yourself in a place where you begin to add unnecessary pressure because you feel like you have to be everything to everyone. And then when you get yourself into a place where you start to think like that, and you have a mindset or a pattern like that, the help that comes, you reject the help. And in rejecting the help, you damage the entire ministry, or doesn't have to particularly be ministry. It could be, a business. You damage, the business because you don't accept the help itself. So very, very powerful comment there. That stepped on my toe. I appreciate it. But it's all right. Let's go. All right. So we have a question.
Yeah.
I can't, I'm going to say Holloway Sr. Ivan Holloway Sr. says, hello, man. I've been seeing a meme on social media stated by Chris Rock, which is a man is only loved or appreciated if only he can provide something. A lot of black men are sharing it. Do you think this is a generalized pressure for black men?
I think provision is a pressure for every person. So I mean, and it's only a pressure if you're in lack or there's a deficiency. But provision is one of the natural elements of every person that's alive. They want to have provision for themselves, and in essence,
Yes.
when a man decides to have a family, he, in some senses, if he's been trained well, he realizes that, listen, that means I'm no longer providing for me alone. I'm providing for the people that I am now leading. And so, the statement from Chris Rock is an opinion, number one, but I think it's an opinion that a lot of people can share, that oftentimes men are only received, in many cases, not all cases, if they are great providers.
Wow. So what do we do with that? With that kind of opinion, what do we do when we're experiencing this kind of when we're feeling this way? You know what I'm saying? If I'm a brother who's feeling like the only time I'm appreciated is if I provide, how do I handle that feeling, that emotion? What do I do with that?
I think that go ahead, Dr. Lawson.
No, go, sir.
Oh, I would say that one of the things that you have to do is, and I think we spoke to the fact that pressure is common, and even the pressure to provide, I believe, is a common, and I believe there's actually not a negative pressure. I think that one of the things that a man has to do when he feels that pressure, or when he feels like there is a lack of appreciation for it, is to, number one, knowing how to manage it. I think that a lot of times we don't know how to manage that which is on our shoulders, right? So I think that one of the things that we can do when that weight is heavy is to step away from the emotional aspect of it, the feeling aspect of it, and separate the emotional aspect and the feeling aspect from the reality of what I'm supposed to do if I've got a family, because at the end of the day, whether there's some things that I must do that it does not depend on whether I'm appreciated for it or not. It's my responsibility. So I think that we have to separate. Now, it would be good to be appreciated. Hear me. It would be good to be appreciated, but I think that sometimes we have to separate how I feel and even the emotions of that, and being neglected for what I'm doing or my efforts, from my responsibility, and then stepping away from that and breaking things up. I practice breaking things up, right, and not looking at it from but stepping away from it and say, okay, this is a responsibility. How do I do this responsibility? How do I do it more effectively? How do I become better at this? How can I become an expert at this? Or is this something I'm supposed to be doing? And I think that that's one of the ways that kind of separating the feelings, the emotions, and the neglect and the rejection, because that's a very real feeling for a lot of black men. A lot of black men feel like they're not appreciated. A lot of black men work their fingers to the bone and don't get a thank you. It's expected. But separating the feeling from the responsibility is crucial to me.
That's good, man. Separating the feeling
from the
responsibility. That is powerful. That's powerful. And I pose that question because a lot of brothers, I think where the pattern becomes a self-defeating pattern is when they don't take that time, and they're not intentional enough about separating how I feel from what has to be done. Really, really good. That's really good. Dr. Lawson, you had something on that?
I was the question is kind of difficult because when I'm thinking about it, I question loved by who, because you'll have a certain, everybody doesn't need to love you. Everybody doesn't, depending on how close they are to you. And then we have to also be
preaching today.
mindful that the narrative have changed. And what I mean by that is you have a whole lot of women. Hope the women watching don't leave me out here by myself. But there's a whole lot of women that says, I don't need your money. I don't need your provision. I just need you to love me. And so there are so many things that we have to think about, because that narrative, it has drastically changed. Where a woman can do, I know they say it's a movie and I can do all bad, I can do bad by myself. But there are really a lot of women out there who are really some movers and shakers and are making things happen. And so we have to keep in mind that the narrative has changed, and we have to be mindful of what we tell ourselves, the story that we tell ourselves, and how provision is seen. Because there's a lot of men with money and they're able to provide financially. However, emotionally, they are depleted. They are bankrupt. They can't connect with you. They can't talk with you. Can't put sentences together. And so we have to be mindful of that and realize that there's greater things in us. And we have to really be some investigators to see our worth and to see our value ourselves beyond our wallets. And we have to keep that in mind. But you still need to pursue some money, though.
Wow, that's good. That's good, Dr.
You would
Locke.
be surprised. You really would be surprised at how many brothers are dealing with esteem issues and the ability to really be confident in who God has made you. But I think that's what this platform is about, to give access to and to example, as well as create opportunities for brothers to see that there are men who understand who they are, who are emotionally available, and are conscious of the need to love themselves.
Yes.
So we speak to brothers everywhere that are listening to this, and tell you tonight that if you haven't before, take time to love yourself. Take time to really know who God made you. You're not who they call you. You're who God made you.
Bishop.
Yes.
If I may interject this, when you talk about self-loving yourself or appreciating yourself, I heard what the Bible says, to compare ourselves to each other. In doing so, we're very unwise. And so I learned early on, being raised by a single mother, how to appreciate myself. So by the time I got married, and my grandmother, I was matriarchally raised by my mother and my grandmother. And my grandfather was there, but he was one of those kind of law enforcers kind of guy. He only spoke up when it needed to be somebody to get a whipping, or he had to put his foot down. So he allowed my grandmother to do most of the talking. But being in that environment before my mother got married, she married my stepfather when I was almost 17 years old. So early on, it was just me, my mom, and my grandparents, and my grandfather, excuse me. But I learned self-appreciation. And so now that I am married, there are times even in a married relationship, you feeling that drain because someone is not appreciating you. Well, I've learned to appreciate myself, and take myself out of the equation and do something for me. If I'm going to take care of something personal for myself, I've taken myself to lunch.
Come on.
I've taken myself to the spa. I mean, and things like that. Even during the coronavirus, I had to detach from church for a minute and shut church down for a minute, and go listen to some jazz, get in some water, cut some jazz on, put something in a cup, and just kind of relax.
Wait a minute.
Praise the Lord. Watch it.
It was not alcoholic, but I'm just saying,
Clarify for the sake.
A cool, personal, non-alcoholic, just kind of disconnect, get in that jacuzzi tub, cut that jazz on, and just let it go for me. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll find out it's not really the people that's not appreciating you as much as you have devalued your need for appreciation.
Yes, sir. That's good.
Right. Good. So I take myself out of it. And my wife will tell you, when I come downstairs, I'm grinning and smiling like I've been on a trip somewhere. And she said, oh, I know what you did. You went that tub. Yes, ma'am. And I kind of put that because of me being a preacher, I'm always surrounded by either gospel music or some church related. At the school, I'm working at the university, I'm dealing with students. So when I get away and put my jazz on, I don't have to be nobody but just me, and just kind of connect for a minute. My mother and my wife turned me on to going to the spa, and there was some men telling me, "Don't no man go to no spa," and I didn't know what it was about. But let me tell you, when I found out, hey, glory, yes,
Hey, glory.
Testify.
Change your life.
wow. I mean, it takes the pressure off of you for just a moment. And you can come back and your feet feel good, your hands feel good, your neck has been cracked, things like that will help you to appreciate you. And then you'll start seeing it wasn't them always not appreciating you. It was you feeling guilty about appreciating yourself.
Right.
Wow. Absolutely.
That's good.
That's very good. Guys, we are really over time.
Oh my.
I'm gonna give this last question. Jessica asked it some time ago, and she says, "What thoughts transpired in your minds to want to walk away from your fleshly friends and old ways? What advice could you give to those men who are still bonded?"
That's good.
Need I read it again?
Please.
That was deep. That was deep.
What thoughts transpired in your minds to walk away from your fleshly friends and old ways? What advice could you give to those men who are still bonded?
Okay.
I wish you could define bonded for us.
Yeah. Oh,
I guess in a practical sense, the value of the future opposed to the value of the past. I guess oftentimes men are logical. We're very logical first. If we're attached to something, there's a logical aspect to the idea. So in this case, I would say or add to the dialogue and say that commonly thinking about the value of a thing is a good mindset to begin to help detach from something that may be unhealthy to you that's in your past, so that you can attach to something that's healthy for you in your future.
Good. Anybody else?
And that which a man values, to add on to what Dr. Pace says, he invested. Whatever a man values, if a man values something, you're gonna be able to tell he values it. Just look at the old guy on Saturdays who he was retired, who's bought that 1956 Chevy, and look how he cleans it and takes care of it. He values it. So when it comes to men, the things that we value, we invest in. I would say that when a man truly values his future, his destiny, and his purpose in God, he starts to make now decisions that may be uncomfortable in the now, may cause disruption in the now, but will benefit him on the journey and where he's headed. Absolutely. But he has to have value. He has to see value in where he's headed and the promise and the purpose of God. And nobody can tell him that. He has to be internal. It has to be something that he sees, that when he's by himself, he can look at himself in the mirror and say, what I want for my tomorrow is going to require me to make some changes today. So it's all about a question of value. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that's a wonderful place to end our conversation and discussion tonight, because it takes us right into what we'll be discussing tomorrow night, which is the importance of family and creating our own family culture, and even the pressures of the norm. The pressures of these things. So you all have talked about valuing and investing in the importance of knowing value. And I think it's one of the things, if not the first thing, that we should value is family, because family literally is our first everything. It teaches you everything first. And so tomorrow evening, we're going to be talking about the importance of family. and creating your own family culture, and even dealing with the pressure. So overall, this week we're going to be dealing with managing pressure in some way, shape, or form. And tonight's discussion, I think, has been amazing. I think we've gotten off to a really, really great start. And I just want to tell you, brothers, man, I appreciate it. I'm so honored to be sharing on this platform with such
Amen.
powerful and astute and scholarly men of God, men of faith. And I guess I want to give you guys a quick second to maybe give a closing thought as we prepare to close out tonight. And everybody that's listening, everybody that's watching, I want you to do me a favor. Tell everybody to meet us back here this same time for the rest of this week. We're going to be here every night talking from 6 to 6:30, hopefully, sharing some vital information with you and with everyone that will listen. I want you to let everybody know that we're on Black Men Empowered, the Facebook page, Black Men Empowered, and we're going to give everybody also an opportunity to share how we can contact you if people want to connect with you and your ministries. I want to give you an opportunity to share that as well. So anybody have a last thought?
Well, I guess I'll start. One thing I want everybody to keep in mind is that if at all possible, start managing the pressure as soon as possible. Gallup came out with a statistic stating that Generation Z is dealing with more stress and pressure than baby boomers. And so we have to keep that in our mind, and we have to try to help those who are young, because if they can start to manage pressure, they can't avoid it, but if they can start to manage it better in their youth, as they get older, they will be able to make a great impact and be able to help those who are coming after them as they go through life. And so that's what I want to add. And anybody who want to reach out, Dr. Lotson, Dr. Jonathan Lotson, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. Dr. Jonathan Lotson.
Awesome.
I'll say don't let pressure numb you. Don't become numb to pressure, because it will affect your productivity and your sensibilities. You just got to acknowledge the reality that pressure is a common experience for everyone. And if you become numb to it, it will be impossible for you to fulfill your responsibilities. That pressure may be masking and making it difficult for you to accomplish. So don't be numb to pressure. Receive it, receive pressure, and appropriate it, so that even if there's a level of productive tension that pressure brings you, you're still able to produce. It's a great dialogue. I'm excited about tomorrow.
Awesome. And how can we reach you, Dr. Pace?
Oh, Dr. Pace, drpace.com, www.drjohnpace.com.
Yes, sir. Awesome. Pastor Josh.
I enjoyed this dialogue. I believe that it has blessed a bunch of people. My final thought would be, just to piggyback off of Pastor Corey, is love yourself, value yourself. It's amazing what when you start to value yourself and loving yourself does for your esteem, does for your mood and your attitude, and what eventually it does. Honestly, and I hate to say it like this because I have a better way of putting it, it almost sometimes makes you immune to voices that don't celebrate you, because you celebrate yourself. And I would tell any man on here that, listen, I don't care what your situation is, I don't care what your circumstance is, I don't care if you lost your job, if you lost so many different things. Find something about yourself that you can celebrate. Find something about yourself that you can pat yourself on the back, because you need that motivation. You won't be able to, you can't see yourself the way God sees yourself until you first began to love on yourself, do things for yourself, invest in yourself, go to the spa. You know what I'm saying? Go listen, let them people rub on your feet. Let them rub on your back. Glory to God. Let them listen to me. It will bless you. Your whole mood will change. Listen, we have this, even when you go to the barbershop, y'all fellas, y'all know we leave out the barbershop, your mood is different.
That's right.
Right? It's the same thing, take yourself to the, when we could go to the movies, but I used to do these things because it invested in me and lifted my spirit and lifted my mood to the point where that listen, I didn't need you to tell me I was good. You know, listen, I don't need it. I celebrate myself. I laugh at my
There you
own
go.
jokes. You know what I'm saying? I
That's
preach to
it.
the mirror to myself and say, good job. You know, but love on yourself, value yourself, invest in yourself.
Good,
Awesome.
good.
Awesome. And how can we reach you, Pastor Josh?
You can reach me on Facebook, Joshua Bingham, or my ministry page at Joshua Bingham Ministries.
Awesome. Pastor Terrain.
All right. I would just say stay open-minded. I've always had strong men around me that kept me on the straight and narrow. So I would say this week, open yourself up a little bit. Stay open-minded to what each presenter is presenting. It may be a little different than your norm, but it could really change, have an everlasting effect in your life just by staying open. Don't be so closed. As men, I know we're taught to be Lou Ferrigno all the time. But it's okay, yeah, it's okay to be a little vulnerable, you know what I'm saying? And kind of open up, especially these. I trust each panelist, and I want to thank you, Bishop Smart, and also the other panelists for allowing us to have like a man. I call this a man cave where men can come and it's kind of show you their scars and be a little vulnerable. And that's a scary thing for some people, you know. So for this avenue, for this platform, I want to encourage anyone that's listening to stay open-minded. Don't just shut it off and no, it ain't for me. No, it could be something there for you, and just keep yourself open to it. And you can reach me at Facebook as well. I'm on Facebook and Twitter at Corey L. Terrain. I got two pages. One is Corey L. Terrain, and one is just Corey Terrain. My son has a page now since he got his cell phone, so he's trying to do something. So when you see Corey Terrain, that's my son, Corey the second. But we are on Twitter and we are also on Facebook. And you can reach me also through my website, which is www.clterrainministries.com. So thank you so very much for the opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you, brothers. You all have been absolutely amazing tonight. And we want to encourage all of our viewers to share this conversation on your pages. Go back and share it. Shoot it in somebody's DMs. Keep the DM holy. Let's sanctify some of these DMs around here. And shoot. Shoot this conversation to them. Let a brother know that we're here all week long. This has been absolutely amazing. Thank you all for your time. I'm Bishop Daniel Smart. If you want to connect with me, you can connect with me on Facebook, Daniel Smart Ministries, or Daniel Smart, or on Instagram, Daniel Smart Ministries. All right. The Lord bless you and keep you. We want to say thank you so much for sharing and being on this conversation with us tonight. Thank you to every leader. Tomorrow we'll have some great. We're going to further this conversation, have some great dialogue with some of the other brothers that are on Black Men Empowered. So we look forward to talking with you, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night. We want you to have a great night and an even better tomorrow. God bless you. God bless you, my brothers. Everybody have a great night.
You too. God bless.
You too.
God bless.
God bless.